Here's my house right here. I'm not that far from my house, but my Wi-Fi signal says that I am that far from the house. So what I want to do is I want to coat the whole house with a Wi-Fi signal. That way, if I'm either in the front yard on my cell phone or a laptop, or if I'm in my backyard, I got a hammock, I got other stuff. I like to be out here. I got cameras all across my back fence right here. I need to be able to cover my whole area here, not just the inside of my house. And how I'm going to extend and coat my whole house and yard with all the Wi-Fi is with this Wavlink AX3000 Wi-Fi 6 Outdoor Access Point. All right, so what I'm going to do with this right here is I'm going to actually install it on my roof. And in my attic, I'm going to run an Ethernet cable. I got something like 10,000 feet of Ethernet cable. I make my own Ethernet cables. So I'm going to run an Ethernet cable all the way to this side of the house from the attic and down here into my office where my router and modem are and direct connected in there. It is IPS67 waterproof. It has 6 times BI antennas. It is 802.3 AT&AF, active and passive PoE. And then it is dual band 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So you can put this in 4 different modes. You can either put it in mesh extending mode, I guess an extender, which is really cool for mesh. If you have a mesh internet setup, your network setup is mesh, which I do here. So that's probably what I'm gonna wind up doing with mine, is getting the mesh set up. And hopefully it pairs with my I'm looking over there at my TP link, pretty easy. You can put it in a repeat mode, router mode, or AP mode. And for full disclaimer, Wavlink did reach out to me, but they don't get to see this video. This video is not paid for, none of that. There is the Wi-Fi access point right there. Your Ethernet's gonna go right here on the bottom. Right here is where your Ethernet goes in. Also on the bottom, you got your pair and reset switch, all your antennas that go on here all the way around, which are gonna be in this box right here. Accessory box, we have our power adapter right here. We got a small Ethernet cable. We got a little bitty wrench. So for the power and PoE, we also have this box right here. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna run your Ethernet into this side right here that says LAN digital in, and then the PoE is gonna go run up to the antenna itself to give it power. So remember, PoE, power over Ethernet. And then the DC plugs in here, and then you plug that into the wall. That way this right here has some power to help push out that PoE, the power over Ethernet. And then of course for your Ethernet, so nothing gets wet, they give you this piece right here. So when you take this off, you run your Ethernet in here, it comes out this side right here. Then on this side, it goes into the bottom of the extender right here. And then of course we tighten it down to tighten up on that wire. That way everything stays waterproof. And then we have the antennas right here. So go ahead and grab the antennas out. Oh, they also give you some straps depending on where you're going to hang yours at. So when you're putting the antennas on, they are labeled. This one says 5G, and then there's some that say 2.4. So make sure you're putting them on the correct ones. So this one right here does say 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put it onto the 5 right here. Now these antennas do not bend. They just stay like they are. This one says 2.4. Okay, so now we have our antenna right here. What I did like though is having 5G 2.4, 5G 2.4. That means we're gonna get plenty of coverage the way it's supposed to be covered. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get in the attic and start figuring out where I'm gonna put this and start running my wire. So I wanna try to put it right here on the tip of my house right here. That way I get the most coverage for this. Right on the peak where I was, right here is where the peak is, and I'm gonna go ahead and run my Ethernet cable right in here. Okay, so on the inside of the house, I have all my Ethernet here. Again, I have a couple thousand feet of Ethernet. I ran it up in the attic right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be dropping it down, doing a wall drop down here. That way it can come out and go directly into my router right here. Okay, so I was able to run it right out my flask up here at the top, my heat shield. So it's up underneath here, and then I'm gonna run it underneath the shingles right here. That way it keeps it protected and also keeps it hidden a little bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and install it on this point right here. Okay, so now that I made up my wire in here, it goes in here, that way it stays weather sealed. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna connect it to the bottom right here. And now I have a nice weather seal. So just like I wanted, the wire goes all the way up underneath, and now I have my top point of my house where I can get complete coverage of internet. So there it is right there. I'll zoom in on it real quick. So everything's all nice and hooked up. It suggests somewhere around 20 feet in the air to put it. That way you get the best coverage that you can get. So let's go ahead and go inside and let's start doing some tests and seeing what the settings look like. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna log into it. So the web address you gotta go to is waplogin.link, I believe is what it is. Let me double check. Yes, .link. Again, it's all in your user manual. So again, I have mine as an AP repeater at this point in time until I finish all my network. I am gonna be redoing my network because what I want is I want this Wavlink to be strictly for my smart home. So all my smart home devices are gonna be strictly on this because it's covering my house, and all my cameras or anything that I need outside of inside the home that I have a hard time connecting to, say security cameras, stuff like that. And of course, building a home assist, I need that coverage to go a little bit further. But if I need to connect my cell phone or something, say a little bit further down the street, which we'll get to here in just a little bit, I can do that as well. So again, you can run this in mesh, you can run this in repeater, AP mode, which I'll get to here in just a sec. So this is the home page. Then we go to our wireless. So then we have our wireless page. So we can come up here and we can click to where it auto detects 2.4 or 5G Wi-Fi signal. I don't like doing that because I mess around with a lot of things that are strictly 2.4 or strictly 5G. So I like to keep mine separated. So I have mine separated. We go to advanced. And then here you can change your channels, hide your SSID, which is your channel name. Then you got Wi-Fi scheduling. So say for instance, like I was saying, with like a church or a swimming pool, pool area, and you're trying to get that coverage out there, you can schedule where the Wi-Fi only comes on for that peak time, and then it will cut off and nobody will have Wi-Fi access after that point. So if you want nobody to have Wi-Fi access, for instance, you can go to around a Starbucks, and when you go to Starbucks while they're closed, you're not connecting to their Wi-Fi because they have something where they turn that off, where no one can just sit outside the building and connect to that Wi-Fi at all times. Okay, so the next section we have advanced. So in advanced, we got our device status. It tells you, everything about it, your network, everything here. You got mode selection. So this is where you can choose a mode. So you can do repeater mode, AP mode, mesh router mode, mesh AP mode, and mesh extender mode. I want to get into the mesh and start getting my mesh system once I go to smart home. So the next one is your network status. What do you want? Do you want a static IP or do you want DHCP? That is going to be up to you. So normally whenever you connect, say, my cell phone to the device, I have an IP address that normally stays in here, but it can actually change. So say if I was at 192.168.44.2 and I left the house and it disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and when I came back, another device was added on and it took that place of it. Say I added something before I reconnected, well then that's not on this device no more. Well, if you give it a static IP, then everything that you have, you can run to that static IP address. You got parental controls. You can come in here and add in parental controls and allow certain people what rules. Say you want to turn it off at 8 o'clock at night. You can turn it off at 8 o'clock at night. Go ahead and set you some parental controls on here. Firmware update. Again, you can check for new firmware updates. There's none right now. Or go to their website, see if there's anything that the auto system's not catching, and then update your firmware. Then we have backup and restore. So we can back up our settings where we are right now. That way if something ever happened, crashed, we had to, say you're wanting to mess around with the AP mode, mesh mode, or whatever else, I will make, like for me, for instance, I will make me a backup. That way if something ever happens, I can come back to where I know it was working the prime time, the optimum that it was working. Then we got our time zone right here. Set your time zone, you got your admin password, timing reboot. So we can reboot plan time. So and I suggest everyone to do this at least once a day. So if you know everyone's in bed at your house by midnight, then 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, reboot it. I suggest everyone to have this reboot feature in their modems and routers. I have mine resets every single day. You got network diagnostics, you got LED control, which you can leave it on or off. Signal adjustment, so you can set low, medium, or high depending on what you're trying to cover. If you don't want your signal to go 5 houses down, which I'll get to that here in just a minute, if you don't want it to go 3 to 5 houses down, then set yours to mid, depending on what your coverage that you're trying to do. And then of course you got a guest Wi-Fi, so you can come in here and set up guests where you just leave a guest network, kind of like if you were at a hospital or the coffee shop, whatever. You can do whatever you want, and of course give it rules. You can encrypt it, unencrypt it. So now as far as the length of the transmission, right now I can tell you on my back fence, I have 4 cameras because I do reviews, so I have a bunch of cameras back there, and I was only peaking around 1 bar, and now they all have 5 bars. They're all full out there. I have some other friends and family that live in the same neighborhood a few houses down. So I'm able to go there, and on my Wi-Fi, I can go to speedtest.net, and I literally can pull 200 megs off my 5G. Remember, 5G is short range. 2.4 is further. Now on 2.4, I was only getting 25 meg download, but I was still able to connect and still got 5 meg upload. So I was still able to connect because you can connect further and further out on your 2.4 because it's a broader band, where 5G is more small. If you're familiar with Bluetooth at all, Bluetooth is a 30 feet small range signal, and of course they're getting more and more, where back in 2006, 2005, 2006, I mean, Bluetooth was barely 10 foot away from you. You literally stepped out your car to go put gas in your car, and it was all going off in your ears if you were on the phone with somebody or listening to music. So things are getting better on, coverage wise with signal. But you got to remember, we got a lot of signal interference. Someone else's Wi-Fi. So just remember, depending on where you put this at, this is going to give you that comfort, that cover zone of Wi-Fi. That way you're not worried about walls. If you're having a hard time with Wi-Fi in your home, this is something that is a big upgrade for what you need to do. If you have a barn, depending on what your use case scenario is, this literally, me personally, I think a good 80% of most people need something like this. Quit worrying about your routers that say this covers 5,000 square foot, because 99% of all those routers that claim that do not get that whatsoever. You need something like this that's actually gonna coach your home. Hopefully you got a little bit of insight. If you like honest reviews like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. I mean, seriously, go ahead and give this video a like. If you made it this far, go ahead and give that video a like. Because what my goal is to bring out 100% honest reviews. Because not all products can be positive, like this Wavlink is right here. Me, I want to take raw. I want the raw. And if a company won't let me do raw and do my style, and I don't have to follow a script, I don't want to be with them. I don't follow a script. Everything I do is literally, I'm reviewing and testing real time, real life, what is worth your hard-earned money. So saying that, go ahead and check out right here and see if this is worth your hard-earned money.